Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. 10. Ground control 9, to Major Tom. 8, 7, 6. Commencing 5, countdown, engines on. 3, 2. Check ignition 1, and may God's love be with you. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade, and the papers want to know whose shirts you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look very different today. For here am I sitting in a tin can. Something wrong, can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear? Am I floating around my tin can? Far above the moon, planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing
used for a number of other reasons. The wing primarily in what they call a clean configuration, which is nothing hanging off it, is designed for high speed flight. They also, on the airplane has used the flaps to change the shape of the wing to help the airplane get off the ground and get on the ground as well. So the position may not be as far down as landing, but you still use the flaps to take off, and they certainly help change the shape of the wing and provide more lift to the flight through. You also notice on this airplane that the extra fuel tanks are still fitted. The airplane. Once he's happy that the temps and pressures are all okay on the engine, he releases the brakes. Now all he's doing here is monitoring the speed increase, making sure the airplane's on centreline, and just occasionally glancing at the engine and make sure it's doing what it's doing. This is where you really notice the difference between a jet and something like the Boomerang that would have been off and flying long ago. Is actually something you can turn on and off, and it's basically a tank in the airplane with a little bit of a pump on it, and it pumps a combination of a fluid like diesel or something like that out into the jet stream at the back, which is hot, and it just makes some smoke. And it was actually something that was designed for the airplane so it could be displayed in service, and the boys at Temora were lucky enough to find all the parts and put that system back on the airplane. As you can see, the transition between a propeller-driven aeroplane and one of these must have been amazing for the pilots. Simo does say it's quite quiet inside and you can hear a lot more mechanical noise because you're sitting basically in front of everything, and it consumes the sky, as you can see. One of the things they designed in the airplane to fight the airplane was a lot more performance in every way. So you watch the roll performance of the airplane. For all you aerobatic guys out there, a hesitation roll like that, you'll notice is put into the middle of basically the top of a gentle climb, and the airplane is allowed to fall. Because being a what's called ballistic manoeuvre like that, the engine doesn't have to run upside down. It's only seeing probably half a G positive. So a fighter is not really designed to do negative G, as we've talked before. The idea is your classic lift vector and pull. You point the top of the airplane at your opponent and pull back on the stick. They're not really designed to push, and a lot of the engines aren't designed for negative G at all. So most of the time Simo will keep pretty much slight positive G on the manoeuvres that he does. See the speed brakes out. The airplane does have limited upside down performance, somewhat like once again an F-18. That will fly upside down, but won't do it probably as well as a modern aerobatic airplane. As we said before, it's a function that the airplane can do it, but most of the time that particular part of the flight regime isn't necessary. As you can see, the airplane chews up a huge amount of sky, and also we just unfortunately have a bird flying right through the middle of his display area, and so
We're just going to probably wait until that bird is blowing away. Notice the slight pitch up to keep positive G on the aeroplane. One of the consequences of modern fighter design was you wanted to use, as you needed more and more and more performance out of the wings, if you have a look at a modern F-18, probably a third to half of the wing actually moves, and some of that moves in flight, and it's all controlled by a computer. Here, the control surfaces are still very large compared to something like the Spitfire, and the roll rate's probably higher than the Spitfire. But in this case, that's the only thing that moves to provide the performance of the aeroplane. So what you've got here is a fast pass with probably about a 4G pull at the end. And we've been lucky enough to actually have F-18s, or the latest asset, which is a Super 18, which is actually a bigger aeroplane. Once again, we've come back to the fact the aeroplane has that much performance, it can now compress the whole air show performance into a lot smaller area again, just because the aircraft has more capacity. But this aircraft here was leading edge for its era, and was quite a dominant force used by a lot of Allied forces, the Germans, Canadians, the Aussies, and obviously in various forms the Americans.
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. 10. Ground control 9, to Major Tom. 8, 7, 6. Commencing 5, countdown, engines on. 3, 2. Check ignition, and may God's love be with you. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade, and the papers want to know whose shirts you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look